Another day. Welcome back. And today is nitpicking or snagging, or whatever you want to call it, because when I switched it on this morning, both the change and the fairlights came on. Not good. So I wrote a little bit of code so it would just switch each one on and off in turn, and found that these two always came on together. Short circuit, I said to myself. And sure enough, a minuscule, my finger gone, a minuscule little bridge, a little bit of solder just joining two tracks together. And clean that up and now it works perfectly. In other news, the cuckoo sounder bellows, the chain with this spring was so vicious, well not vicious, that's the wrong word, but was springing about with this big spring, so it's bouncing about and all this, and regularly would hop off this pulley, and obviously that's no good. Anyone who likes a simple life might have thought, well, you could get rid of this pulley altogether and just have the chain straight down there, but no. Why do that when you can add something? And look at it, I'm really pleased with it, because the grub screw was in there holding this drive shaft in. I suddenly thought, oh, a little extra screw with a piece of wire, and then I noticed I'd got these things for picture frames to keep the back of picture frames on, made of brass with a 4mm hole almost, and it fitted perfectly. Look at that, and it just looks really nice and means that the pulley is free to turn but the chain isn't free to bounce off. Let's try it and see. That's better. Yeah, so that's free to turn but can't jump off, and it looks nice too. What more could you ask for? Well, I'll tell you what more I could ask for. I noticed that the light was shining through this shade, even though it's got a few coats of the brass on it, you could see through it. So I ended up trying, the only black paint I had was acrylic, so I've painted the inside around the outside. Does that make any sense? Black, so it won't shine through, and then I'm going to respray this with brass. What a joy. And in other breaking developments, the internet wasn't working this morning, so I actually got around to unpackaging my new DVD player, so I've actually got some decent things to watch. And today's viewing, or this morning's, is The Forgotten. Very good film about a man and a woman who seem to remember they've lost their children. They've just appeared and everyone's mind has all changed, and it's all extremely interesting while they find the truth. Something else arrived today, which is great. This is a part of the package. There's 50 of these cardboard boxes because they're friends. I've got all these parts from the Net Throbwell kits sitting around, 20 sets, because I ran out of boxes. You know, you do your best to remember stuff. I only had enough, I think, for 20. Well, the remainder is sitting there, so I can get the rest of them finished, the rest of the kits, and clear a bit of space. 6 down, 14 to go. I'll tell you what, maths is my watchword. Welcome back to wherever or whenever we are. I've got so carried away with all this that I'm losing track. In fact, yesterday evening I uploaded a video that I'd already uploaded to YouTube. How ridiculous. It took me ages to figure that out, and thank you to the couple of people who commented on it and pointed it out to me. Ridiculous. So I don't know what part of what video this is going to be. Anyway, I finally got the lamps resprayed, well, painted inside with black, then sprayed with the brass on the inside and outside again, and they look lovely. And now there's absolutely, let's turn the light down, salubrious. You can't see any light coming out through the reflector at all, and I have made a note to that effect. Now what I need to do is to clear the decks. This particular deck, the only flat surface that's still available vaguely. I need to find somewhere to put these two so I can leave them running for several days to check that they do actually work properly. Oh, and I need to finish the backs of them, that's true. Perhaps I'll put those hooks on now and cut the background. That would be nice. Let's do that. Actually, call me old-fashioned, because they're the ones I want to fix on, and as always, a lovely drawing to show all the dimensions of where they go, so that's exciting. But the problem is something impeding my way to the pillar drills and bits and pieces. It's the other 20 Nepnet Throbwell box kits. You can see I've now fixed in the sides, the heavy metal plumbing fittings. They're all nicely fixed in. I think what I'm going to do, because they really are getting in the way a little bit, and the rest of the instructions and all the wooden bits, it's everywhere I go. There's horns down there. This room will be so much clearer if I get these kits together. So I think that's what I'm going to do now. And today's viewing pleasure is that classic British gangster film, The Long Good Friday. Brilliant. I've just finished watching A Few Good Men as well, that army one with Tom Cruise in it. What a joy to have a DVD player finally. Luckily I've got an instruction thing for a sheet for filling the boxes up. Make me count 9 parts, including the instructions. We've got the electrical bits, the pumps and things, gears and engravings, polish, glue, gloves, stuff, electronics, fixings, all the wooden parts in the urn. Right, let's start filling boxes. Socks, or in this case a glove on the PIR sensor. What a palaver. What happened was, let's remove this for now, I've used this type of PIR sensor, which is this type. Very, very lovely little thing. It's just briefly got sensitivity, it's got the duration which it latches on for, it's got settable or non-resettable latching or triggering, and plus 5 volts, 0 volts and output, TTL output, which is fantastic, really useful and quite small, doesn't draw much current. Anywho, I've used them in loads of machines. On the original barometric prognosticator 3, and the Gregorian scribulator, which writes the day, date and month each day using a magnetic stylus, and the chronological engine, and I've never had a problem. So there I was, having completed both of them, had them both sitting on my table and left them running all night, and theoretically after an hour the software in the Arduino waits an hour without any more re-triggerings, if you like, and then fades everything down, switches everything off, and then when it next sees movement for the first time only, it comes back to life and plays the proper musical rendering of the last 24 hours of weather readings. But during the night I kept hearing them playing tunes, which caused me some concern. Obviously my first instinct, not having that much confidence, is to think, oh, somebody's doing my software, because everything else is the same. So I spent ages pondering over the sketch, the Arduino sketch that runs the Barometric 3. Couldn't find anything, fiddled around, farted about, all the rest of it. The way I solved it in the end, after much umming and ahhing and a sleepless night, these are the 2 little variable resistors that you set for. One's for the delay time and one's for the sensitivity. I, in the past, have always turned them right round to the shortest of length, the time for delay and the most sensitivity. I thought it would be worth a try just to change the settings. Now obviously they're buried, I'll show you where they're buried, inside that eel there, and to get them off it's the most tricky thing, because you've got little screws on the front, you can't get to the nuts at the back, you'd mean disassembling the whole thing. So I thought I'd just do a bit of keyhole surgery with a screwdriver, prodding about, and managed to turn these back a little bit, and it works. I had the other one on all day yesterday and it didn't re-trigger, with the sock over the thing sitting in the kitchen while I was working, and it was fine. I'm absolutely thrilled. So that's the back of the machine inside, and we need some way of covering it, and I obviously stuck these blocks in to reinforce and to provide a little rebaited support for some sort of wooden back. I actually added these 2 because I found that the plywood I was using was all bendy. So here is the back, onto which in fact laser engraved some instructions and information, and then there's a piece of squarish drain pipe, down pipe, which is just the right size, and you see why I've done that. Yes, I'm sure you can, because when that goes on there, you can get to the back of the clock. They're fabulous. Change the battery. That's why there's the piece of ribbon, because it's very fiddly getting the battery out if you haven't got a piece of ribbon. So that's great. I'm now going to drill a couple more holes in that and then screw that together. Then I'm going to be able to test both of them and do some more video editing, and hopefully this one will work perfectly. I thank you. Next thing is to find the altitude of the very nice person who's purchased this and I'm building it for, because in meters, because then the barometric sensor can compensate for the height in altitudes to account for pressure and things. And today's fantastic film so far, Sunshine. Brilliant. Cillian Murphy in it, and I have to say most films Cillian Murphy in are absolutely brilliant. Very, very good. I'd only just realised it's directed by Danny Boyle as well. So, just been watching that, and there's good old Cillian about to be vaporised. Very good film. It's 275 metres above sea level. Brilliant. And for my next viewing pleasure, I think it's probably one of my, if not my favourite film of all time, Get Carter. What a classic. Apparently it was the first feature film, in the UK at least, that was really shot like a documentary. Very little music and really brutalist. Everything about it is really brutalist actually. Really good. With the main character, who Michael Caine said he's a really dislikable person. But it just works as a story. It's brilliant. You want an example of ergonomics, or a complete absence of it, continuing my rant about audiovisual equipment. These buttons here, if you try and push them, it pushes the whole thing. Isn't that ridiculous? It does click the button eventually, but by that time you've actually pushed your DVD player off the top. Ridiculous. Little things like that. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe and things. And next time it's complete and we're doing videos and stuff. It's so exciting.